have Armando afterwards.
Okay.
Oh, cool. But Hubert, what would you say you guys have tried to highlight this week with the extra time that you've had off, and like have there been any specific areas that have been points of emphasis?
Yeah, I said, I was looking forward to this week. One of the things was us practicing on us instead of practicing in preparation for a game. And so obviously we've had to practice in preparation for tomorrow, but we've also had practices where we just focused on us. And, one of the things that we've talked about at great length was, just from a defensive standpoint, just tightening the screws on the discipline and details that allow us to be a good defensive team. Two areas that I would say that I've really reinforced is one, rebounding the basketball, boxing out and rebounding. And I know, statistically, in terms of defensive rebounding percentage, we're number one in the conference, but I felt like there's been slippage in that over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and particularly teams getting second chance opportunities and them capitalizing on that. The other area is having the discipline to be able to defend without fouling. I just feel like we've been putting teams on the free throw line a lot more lately, and so those specific areas defensively, just doing a better job at to allow us to be the best that we can be on that end.
Some of the guys said after the game last Saturday that they felt like they needed a break. They were getting a little bit tired, a little bit. Legs were getting heavy. Did you sense that as much as they were saying it? And what did you do this week to sort of maybe pull back on the legs and give them a chance to get their legs back?
Well, I did think that this week where you didn't have a midweek game, I think, I always believe this individually and as a team, there are times where you can get better by just being able to catch your breath. And I do feel like, basketball-wise, physically, even mentally, being able just to take a deep breath, not having a midweek game was something that would be good for this group. That being said, it was a week of hard work, a week of really good practices in preparation for the remainder of the season, and so it wasn't a week off. It was a time to reinforce the things that has allowed this team to be successful thus far and to be able to continue to improve and move forward.
Staying on that, you can work hard during the week, but not mentally preparing for a game. Is there something to say for refreshing mentally, and that at this time of year is pretty much all you can do? You can't really refresh the legs as much as you can the mind, and that kind of helps everything else.
Well, I think it's a different type, and when you say it was a different type of, like from a mental standpoint in terms of focus. There's a difference in, doing individual workouts and practicing on us and thinking is being locked in towards that, as opposed to doing that in addition to how does this relate in preparation to a game, and being able to just have a single focus on us for a good part of the week, I thought was refreshing, and I thought it was needed.
Hubert, big picture question, and I know there's still a lot left in your season, but when you think about Armando, you've talked a lot about his legacy this year and him wanting to be remembered a certain way. How do you want him to be remembered when his time here is done?
Probably firsthand, the word that comes in my mind is commitment. In a time where there's been a lot of change in college basketball, here's a guy that's been here for 5 years. And not only been here for 5 years, but has been successful. And that you can be really, really successful at the highest level, and you can also still be committed to being and staying at one institution, one program. And commitment, that's, to me, the first word that comes to my mind in terms of his legacy, is his commitment and his consistency throughout his career.
Do you think of him as somewhat of like a model of how, commitment in terms of a guy who can stick around for this long and be
Yeah.
successful, and,
Yeah.
despite all the movement, I guess is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's a complete contrast on, you don't hear about that very much, of a guy staying at a school for 5 years and being as successful as he's been on and off the court. That's pretty cool. And my hope is that that's something that is celebrated, something that is remembered about him.
Hubert, just to piggyback off that real quick, is somebody who's from the old school, respectfully.
No, I am. I'm old, and I'm from the old school.
For a 5-year guy like Armando, just anyone, does there need to be an asterisk for the numbers those dudes put up, do you think? Like, I'm saying anyone, not just Armando. Like,
That's not for me to answer.
Okay.
I want to stay away from that. That's not for me to answer on. I just know that Armando's been here for 5 years, and his play has been historic. Whether you want to count it for 4 or 5, it's been historic, and his commitment to this program and his university and his community has been unprecedented.
Fair enough.
To ask you about another player with a lot of experience, Cormac coming in, I imagine you saw like the shooting and the experience when you were trying to get him to come here. But now that you've had almost a full season with him, what kind of intangible things has he brought to this roster?
His leadership. It doesn't matter, shoot around, practice, obviously games, but shoot around and practice, he's locked in. There's no difference of his attention to detail, his energy, his effort, his enthusiasm. One of the things that when I was here at Carolina, one of the things that I was very thankful for is I had older players that showed me the way. Whether it was my freshman year, Coach Jeff Lebo was a senior, just having older guys as an example every day on how to put yourself in a position to be successful. And I'm just really thankful that our younger guys have Cormac here to see what he does to put himself in a position to be successful every day, how tied he is into the success of this team. And it's been a great example, and I love having him in our locker room, on our team, and on the floor.
Hubert, I guess thinking about Virginia for tomorrow, obviously they're currently number 1 in opposing points per game. That's kind of been their MO for last several years and things like that. I guess kind of when you look at them and just the way that they defend, what are some of the unique things that you kind of do in preparation to kind of guard against that, considering a lot of what they do is kind of slow down pace and things like that? Just what's kind of unique about it?
Well, it is unique, but I think the thing that you have to be is there has to be a full commitment to being disciplined. It just is what it is. There are going to be times where you're going to have to play defense for 20, 30 seconds, and can you fully commit yourself to being disciplined defensively every possession for 30 seconds? And if a possession calls for us to play defense for 5 seconds, then 5 seconds. 20 seconds, 20 seconds. Full 30, full 30. And so having the discipline to be able to do that, and then also having the discipline to get the shot that you want on the offensive end, and not just taking a shot because now you're on offense, having the discipline to get the shot that you want on the offensive end as well.
Sorry to cut you off or anything, but do you feel there's a degree of balance that comes there, considering just how fast you guys do kind of play, and just kind of do you think there is kind of a, if that makes sense, an in-game balance of trying to play to your speed as you like to play it, but then also accounting for just the way in which they.
Well, the good thing for us, things that we reinforce, it's no difference whomever that we play. Obviously, we want to play at our pace, and specifically, our transition from defense to offense, I want to go, whether it's, made, miss, turnover, out of bounds underneath free throw. Let's get the ball up the floor. Let's attack. And so that's something that we always want to do, but we've also, reinforced that and talked about that in alignment with great shot offense and getting the shot that we want, and taking advantage of attacking the basket through poster penetration, taking advantage of getting the ball to Armando and our bigs in the post, utilizing our ability to get to the free throw line and make free throws, setting solid and legal screens and getting our best three-point shooters open. And so those are things that we've talked about. Whether we can get that shot in 1 second, great, but if it takes 30 seconds, it takes 30 seconds. But just being efficient on the offensive end, and those are things that we have reinforced and talked about all year, irregardless of whomever we play.
Staying on UVA, they like to double the post. How much better has Armando gotten at the ball not sticking when he goes
Much better.
there? And if there's not an opportunity to score right away, how important is it going to be for him tomorrow getting that thing out quickly?
Much better. We work on it in practice pretty much every day, and I think there's two areas where Armando has really improved in that. One, you talked about it, he can get the ball out and he can get it into the right players. The other thing is, and I think it's the most important thing, is like he's really comfortable with the double team now. He's not in a hurry, and when double team, he is very patient, very strong with the ball, and very confident at where his teammates are going to be and where he needs to deliver it. And so, also when we play against teams that normally double the post, his understanding of where it's coming from, and also his understanding of when they can't double team, like in transition. And so it urges him even more, especially in transition, to be able to get low position underneath the basket where it's difficult to double team them in those spots.
Hubert, it's 8 straight losses for you guys in Charlottesville. Does that ever become part of your message this week as you guys are getting ready? Like, is that a motivational talking point that you give these guys?
No, it's not. I mean, they weren't here. I don't even know if they were in grade school.
I think 2012 was the last time you won up there.
Yeah, I since me being back as an assistant and as a head coach, we've never won up in Virginia. So I don't know how old Elliot and Zayden were at that time. So
Elliot was 7. Is that
7 years old.
So
Okay,
I think
great. He was in first grade. Okay, great. So, so I know that. I think they know that. But our motivation is playing our best. Our motivation is continuing to improve, and the privilege of playing against a great program in Virginia on their home floor late in the conference season with so much at stake. That's the cool part. That's the fun part.
Hubert, they're coming off a really bad game. I imagine you expect to get their best on Saturday.
Virginia is Virginia because they bring their best every game. And so whether they are coming off of a loss or a win, they're a good basketball team and a wonderful program because of the consistency of which they compete and play. And so irregardless of what happened against Virginia Tech earlier this week, we knew that it would be a challenge for us going up to Charlottesville, but also a challenge that we are really excited about tomorrow at 4.
Why is it so hard to win there? Is there something?
Because they're good.
But like 12 years, is there something like the way you have to stay, the travel, like something intangible that factors? Because it's not just you guys that struggle there.
Well, if it was, we would do something differently. Maybe we wouldn't fly today. We would bus up there or take individual cars or
Kirsch Caravan.
We've stayed at about 7 different hotels.
7
so
different
that ain't it.
hotels. I'm not superstitious. I don't, for whatever reason, we haven't had success up there. But that really doesn't matter. What matters is tomorrow. And what matters is our preparation, our practice the last couple of days. And what matters is our play tomorrow. And we're excited about competing against them and excited about the challenge.
Take 1 or 2 more.
Hubert, another kind of broad note, kind of about Harrison, but about the transfer portal as a whole. When you get in the portal, how sure can you be that a guy's going to be a good fit, especially chemistry, the intangibles? all those kind of extracurricular things.
I don't think you can be 100% sure, but I think you have to do your due diligence in terms of in any recruitment, whether it's, transfer portal or high school. Our process in terms of recruiting is just somebody that we need and somebody that we want. That's the same. I would say the transfer portal, it goes a lot faster in terms of, our evaluation, obviously as a player, but more importantly, the person, his family, his former teammates, his former coaches. Those are factors that are weighed heavily in terms of us determining whether we feel like this will be, a good fit or not. And so with Harrison, with Cormac, with Pax, with James, all of them, those are things that we looked at in determining that we would love for them to be a part of this program. I think the one thing that is extremely hard and you cannot predict is how they will react on this stage. It's different. The light is bright here. The stage is big. And there's other programs that are on this stage, but no one's higher than this stage. And so to predict how they will react being on this type of stage, that's something that you hope they can, but you can't really predict.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll get Armando in.